We covered Dame Dash the other day. There was an update that he now lost everything. So all the lead up that we've been covering on Dame Dash has pretty much been okay, he got this judgment against him. He got that judgment against him. He lost this lawsuit. He lost that. Judge stepped in and said, oh, now you got to sell off your studio. You got to sell off this company, your film company, all this type of stuff. And then this week it came out, no, now it's everything. Everything? Everything. And I seen another post that said it includes his house. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true, but I seen another one that said his crib too, like everything. Like, shit. So I seen this post go up and it created an interesting thought to me. So I said, let me bring it to the stream.
And I'm being honest.
Let me pause it first. Let's read the caption. Ray Daniels says he lost a little respect for Jay-Z, saying Hove, who's worth over $2 billion, can make one phone call and help Dame Dash's serious financial and legal problems. I'm gonna tell you my opinion on that, but let's listen to Ray Daniels first.
That's what it kind of makes me lose a little respect for Hove.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because I know Memphis Bleek is your man. He went on record saying he'll always be a millionaire, right? Because Memphis Bleek is your man. I get it. Tata is your man. Those are his little mans that he looked out for. Dame was your peer. And to me, if I'm up 2.5 billion, I'm not going to let somebody who I loved, like they still the godfather of each other kids. Jay can make one phone call and change that man's life. He can make one phone call and help that man, and he won't. And to me, it's like, see, Dame Dash loses everything. He's totally crushed. He has nothing but his kids and his family. We don't even know, like, at least tap in, like, yo, go stay in my New York house for a minute to get on your feet. And I'm being honest with you.
Okay. Interesting perspective. Now everybody knows, if you follow the streams, Jay is my GOAT. But I be removing my bias when it's time to formulate our opinions up here. I'm always gonna be fair. I'm always gonna be fair. Shit. On yesterday's stream, I told you, I said, I don't want to be naive and just assume that Jay-Z never had nothing to do with nothing when it comes to Diddy. So I'm not gonna be a biased guy when it's time for us to be sorry is true, right? Here's the thing about Ray Daniels' perspective there. There's absolutely a side of me that says, I see what he's on and I can fully identify with, right? There are a lot of circumstances that you have to involve there. One thing that we do incorrectly is we just take the top level of what the two people, for example, got going on. Dame losing everything. Jay-Z, 2.5 billion up. And then we make our decisions based on that. That's what Ray Daniels just did. And shout out to Ray Daniels, very, very smart person. But that's what he just did. That's too high level. You can't do that. You can't do that. There's so many circumstances underneath that we know and don't know. What's some of the stuff that we know publicly? I believe allegedly Dame Dash has kind of insinuated that Jay has dealt with minors. I believe allegedly. He definitely got on him for the R. Kelly stuff, like you doing an album with R. Kelly, and you know what happened with R. Kelly and Aaliyah. That was a big divide. The whole thing with Def Jam and the selling of like 50% of Rockefeller, big divide. Dame has said a lot of things. Now I get it. Words are words. And if you're up 2.5, you obviously haven't been affected by Dame's campaigns and all the things he said over the years about you, right? So I'll try to scratch that. But there are certain lines that as a man or as a woman, you choose to say, if you cross this, I'm not going to let you return. I'm not going to let you return. That's not always bloodshed. That's not always we had a physical fight. Sometimes it could, or you violated me in a way that is just my mother, my child. You know what I'm saying? It's not just those. Some people could just flat out determine like, you are very bad for me. I feel like that's we don't know. Jay-Z hasn't spoken enough over the years for us to fully get the full picture, right? Dame has done most of the talking, right? Jay has dropped his hints. You know, got to jump off of the boat so I could walk on water. He did I think Angie Martinez one time, and he said like they're two different people, they're on different courses. You know, there's been shots in music at Dame. There's been things that's happened that might have been like tied to like spite between them, like how things ended up with Beanie Siegel, how things ended up with Kanye West. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that has been said and done that we don't know, to be real about it. Now, here's what I say. Because when Ray Daniels makes the point of this, like, lost everything, 2.5 billion, something should happen, right? I think that's too high level, as I said. So where do I feel like everybody should then jump in if you are Jay? If I despise you as a man, if I don't fuck with you as a person, if I haven't had a conversation with you in 15 or 20 years, I'm sorry, public, but don't create this obligation for me. I'm literally at odds with this person, or don't like this person, or haven't fucked with this person for like 15, 20 years. Okay. So if this person continued to be the type of person that they are during the years, we've seen this person just as much as they would come out and say that they're being wrong. We also come out and see them balling out of control, say they're doing this, they got this, they're making this movie, they about to do this movie. He went back and forth 50 Cent. I'm launching my new TV network. Hey, 50 Cent, let's compete, right? Nobody screamed for Jay-Z then. Nobody screamed, and this was like last year, right? When Dame was on camera and his teeth fell out and shit. Nobody screamed for Jay-Z and said, "Hey, Jay, look at this big movement that Dame got. Why don't you invest in it?" And well, nobody did that. Dame was convincing the public that he had all this big stuff going on, right? And then we found out a couple months later when he's selling his portion of Reasonable Doubt and he's liquidating his Rockefeller chains and in and out of court, and his depositions come out on camera and all this type of stuff. And it's like, damn, he's in a bad spot. And now judgment after judgment after judgment starts hitting the internet. And it's like, oh, now you want to call for Jay-Z. Once again, morally, I understand. But if we have literally not fucked with each other for 15 to 20 years and possibly dislike each other, or possibly to a degree, kind of enemies, there's different types of enemies, not the type of enemies that got to shoot at each other or try to kill each other, but the level of, I'm uncomfortable even if we're in the same room. I don't want to be around you. And it could be the type of enemy like this. I feel like if you got the opportunity, you would try to see my demise in certain ways, right? What do I mean by that? Can I look at their relationship over the years and the energy between them, 15, 20 years plus of their fallout, right? And say, I know for sure Jay-Z would never or has never purposefully done something that would harm Dame. And I damn sure can't say that for Dame in Jay's direction either. You guys know I'm a big proponent of, we don't got a beef, but if you tried to kill me and failed, and I say kill me metaphorically, right? Not necessarily taking my life, but if you tried to kill me and failed, I don't fuck with you for life. And that could apply for Dame as well. Now, this isn't Dame that's out here saying, Jay-Z, I need help. I definitely wouldn't want Dame to be out here saying it, right? Because Dame has done things and said things and possibly has created actions in Jay-Z's direction that could have been detrimental. And Jay-Z, I believe, same way in the other direction. So here's where I say, no matter how much they dislike each other, might be a certain level of enemy, haven't talked for 15, 20 years, grew apart, hate each other now, whatever. If this was something like health-wise, I would lose respect for Jay-Z. I would be with Ray Daniels then. Like, let's say Dame had lost everything. Nobody knew about it, right? And he just woke up one day and he put up like a post that said, God forbid, my child is in the hospital and it's like some John Q type of shit. I need a certain amount of money for this procedure and I don't have the money, right? Now, if Jay-Z didn't send that over there, yo, your son needs $250,000 to save his life or have a liver transplant or something like that, I would lose respect for Jay. I would be totally with Ray Daniels then. Totally. But the difference, and it's kind of consistent with what I did yesterday or the day before when we spoke about Dame, right? I do believe that when it comes to financial and business choices, I do feel like Dame is a victim of himself in a lot of situations. His personality, the way he deals with people, the way he goes about business. Where there's smoke, there's fire. He's not having all these problems with all these different business and companies because all those people are wrong. I think this is one of the main reasons why Jay-Z got away from him. There was some selfishness there to me. Jay ain't no angel. There was some selfishness there to me. But Jay and Dame was never meant to stay together forever. They're too fucking different. They're too different. Jay was never going to be Jay if everybody had to deal with both Jay and Dame on the same accord. I just don't. You could see it. You could see it. That's a reality of this fucking world. That's where you start walking in some of the rooms, and the company pulls you to the side and says, "Listen, Justin Timberlake, we just want you. We don't want the rest of the group. Beyonce, we just want you. We don't need the rest of everybody else." And let alone if you're somebody abrasive and there's footage of you walking into these conference rooms, flipping over desks and shit. I mean that like sarcastically of a Dame Dash. It's like, I never saw Jay-Z stand because Jay-Z may not have even co-signed that. Like, we get money with these niggas. Why are you walking in the conference room tearing shit up, running down? Like, they was never the same. They was never meant to stay together forever. They built something, and would have been the perfect storybook ending is they built a legacy together, companies together, and all this stuff together, where when they went like this guy had enough to use and go do his thing. And this guy had enough to use and go do his thing. And dare I say, if Dame Dash and Jay-Z haven't been fucking with each other or even talking for 15 or 20 years, we've seen Dame Dash do or be involved in a lot of shit since then. But we're seeing a lot of failures. And life is life. And sometimes you could make bad decisions or have some bad luck. But all of these failures that Dame Dash has had ever since he's last been dealing with Jay-Z, you can't blame Jay-Z for it. You can't. Dame is Dame. You could read his personality and how he acts right there. It's right there for all of us to see. Don't be naive. So when you do all of this stuff personally between us in both directions, and you also got all these years on your own doing your thing, supposedly, right? When you fail or when all this fucks up, I don't want everybody to look to me. I'm not this man's savior. We haven't been friends all this time. But morally speaking, if it was a health thing, I would lose respect for Jay-Z, but not because of a financial situation. There has to be a line where you don't just keep people tied in forever when they've already showed you they don't fuck with each other for 20 years. Okay? So shout out to Ray Daniels. Interesting take. I just think that his take is only motivated from lost everything, $2.5 billion you have. You can't do it at that high level. You got to factor in all this type of stuff. You got to see how long they haven't been fucking with each other. You got to look at their actual relationship. I wouldn't want somebody that I haven't saw in 20 years to be tied to me neither, but I do have my moral obligations to myself. Like, oh shit, his son, send that. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. I hope whether you agree or disagree with me, I introduced at least an element to invoke thought. Okay. Just second guess what you would do in the situation, regardless which one you would choose. Second guess it at least. And speaking of, just for me to be funny, real quick, let's close out with this.
Tell me about Summer Jam 2001. Crazy. It's live. We the champions. You heard
Michael Jackson.
We live.
King of rap, the king of pop. Holla.
Turned out crazy. Big event, 20,000.
It's the rock, you bastards.
As always, you heard? Holla.
Classic video. Interpret it how you want to interpret it.